Throughout the course of my project, I used a wide range of different technologies to assist with the research, planning, construction, presentation, and evaluation of my products. WordPress is a website which I used from the very start until the very end of my project to present each stage in a blog format. This was easy to use and made it easy to keep track of each piece of work, as well as allowing for easy marking from my teacher. Google was an extremely useful search engine for when it came to researching existing horror film trailers, posters, and websites. I was able to use Google to search for specific subgenre, and then I could use the images from here in my research, which ultimately helped me decide which subgenre I wanted my horror film to be. I then presented my findings from Google on a mind map using a website called Prezi. I wanted to display certain aspects of each horror film subgenre, including text and images, and Prezi allowed me to do this in a way which breaks up the information into smaller subheadings in bubbles which make it easier to read and understand. From this, I was able to see clearly the generic conventions of each subgenre before I moved on to collecting audience research to find out which subgenre was more popular amongst my proposed target audience. In order to make sure I was going to be designing a film which appealed to my target audience, I carried out some interviews with members of the target audience and asked them to answer some questions to help me establish what things appealed to them. I filmed these interviews using my iPhone 5S and then put the clips together on Windows Movie Maker. Using Movie Maker was useful because it was straightforward to use and allowed me to turn each individual interview into one long extended video, which was much more convenient when it came to presenting this on my blog. To make sure that I would be producing products which to an extent followed the generic conventions of horror films from the psychological subgenre, I needed to conduct research into things such as camera work, mise-en-scene, and poster content, and I did this by using Microsoft PowerPoint to present my analysis of each section. I also used PowerPoint to present my plot ideas because this enabled me to easily and clearly present my plot ideas to my target audience. Before uploading these pieces of research to the blog, I uploaded them to a website called SlideShare, where it converts the PowerPoint document so that it is available to view online. I could then link the SlideShare link on my blog. To analyse the sound and editing used in typical horror film trailers, I used iMovie on my MacBook Pro to establish examples of sound effects and editing techniques used in trailers and then narrated the clips to analyse and explain the effects of each technique. To record myself speaking, I was able to use the inbuilt microphone on my MacBook, and this recorded my voice to a high standard. In iMovie, I could then put the narration over the appropriate clip or piece of sound, and this was a very clear way of presenting my analysis because it allows the audience to hear the analysis whilst also being able to visually see or hear what I am referring to. I also used iMovie to create an animatic of my storyboard. This involved taking the individual frames from the storyboard which we drew and putting them in iMovie, which allowed me to put them in the correct sequence with the appropriate music and sound effects, as well as transitions and animations using a variety of presets available in iMovie. It was much more effective to present my storyboard in this animated format because it allowed me to show to my audience and gain feedback, as well as being able to see the length of the trailer and the length I intended on having each scene. I was then able to use this animatic to make the appropriate changes needed to my plan before we went out and started filming the scenes for the real trailer. I used a Canon DSLR camera to film my trailer, and I chose to use this camera instead of a mobile phone camera because it had HD video recording features, including high quality audio recording. Using this camera, I was able to get high definition footage with minimal shake because we also used a tripod when recording certain parts of the film. I also used this camera to take photographs for the poster and websites because again, the quality was very high and the camera also had flash which enhanced the images if they were being taken in a dark setting. To edit the images we took, I used Photoshop CS5 to change the exposure, to remove the background, and to add effects around the eyes to make it appear as if the characters' makeup was smudged and to make them look more dishevelled. Photoshop allowed me to do this with the smudge, burn, blur, paintbrush and clone stamp tools. I also used Photoshop for creating the poster. I was able to have the two images of Catherine as layers and then flip one horizontally and then blur them together and merge the images with the background. I was then able to add text and fonts and institutional logos to the poster in Photoshop and move them around until I was happy with the layout. I used a website called 1001 Fonts to get the fonts I wanted for the poster, and this website gave a much wider range of fonts to choose from than Publisher, and I was able to copy and paste them into Photoshop with a transparent background from this website. I chose to edit our trailer in iMovie, and it was a brilliant piece of technology to use because it has many different features available, including a wide range of transitions, audio effects, speed alteration features, cropping tools, video stabilization, and visual effect tools. The visual effects tools allow you to apply a visual effect to the footage and to play around with the exposure levels and colour balance of the clip. I use this often to change a somewhat bright piece of footage to make it appear as if it was nighttime by dulling down the exposure of the footage. I also added a blue tint to some clips to make it seem more eerie and cold. These are features which aren't available in Windows Movie Maker, hence why I chose to use iMovie instead. I also used iMovie to order all of the clips, making all of the appropriate cuts and fades, to add title and credit screens, and overlay any audio and sound effects. Once the trailer was complete, I exported it from iMovie and uploaded it to my YouTube account. This was a good way of presenting the final trailer because the YouTube link can be copied and put onto the blog, as well as being sent to the people to view or mark, and can also be played from mobile devices. Uploading it to YouTube also meant that when it came to creating my website, it could be embedded on the homepage for the viewers to watch. To make my website, I used a site called Wix. This allows users to create an account, then choose from lots of different templates to start creating their own website. Once a template had been selected, there are several different features available, from changing the background colour to inserting text or images from your own files. I inserted several images from the film and the poster, including the credits and tagline in the same font as appears on the trailer and the poster. Wix allows you to create different pages with navigation panels, then include different content on each page. For example, I embedded my trailer on the videos page, created an animated gallery of images from the trailer on the gallery page, and links social media and icons indicating where the soundtrack was available to download from. I then added several hyperlinks so that the user can navigate between pages, and so that when you click the Revenge icon, it always takes you back to the home page. I then added audio to my website with a small icon in the corner which allows the user to turn the music on or off. When it came to completing the evaluation questions for my product, I wanted to present my answers using a range of ICT which made it clear and easy for the viewer to understand. For question 1, 3 and this question, question 4, I used iMovie and my MacBook's inbuilt microphone to record myself speaking through my answers, whilst using QuickTime Player Screen Recorder to record the movements on my laptop screen, which allowed me to visually communicate what I was explaining through the voiceover. In iMovie, I could also insert clips from the trailer and the poster to display whilst I was analysing it. The finished video for each question could then be exported and uploaded to YouTube, and I believe this was an appropriate way of presenting each question because it is informative whilst also being interesting for the viewer to watch. Question 2, however, I chose to present in a Prezi format because it is interactive and allowed me to have bubbles of text explaining the answers, followed by images which could either be screenshots from the trailer, the website, or the poster. Prezi allows you to insert video clips as well, so I could also insert clips from my trailer to display whilst I was evaluating them. The Prezi presentation is easy for people to use and understand my evaluation answer in the order which I wanted to present, and it could then be linked on my blog once completed. Overall, I've used a range of technology during the duration of my project, all of which I feel enhanced my products and made them more appealing for the audience.